We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Our guest this morning is Morris Beegle, and he's with the Southern Hemp Expo that's going to be in town this weekend. Folks can get tickets.
SouthernHempExpo.com.
What if you show up there at the fairgrounds? Can you buy them there at the gate?
Yeah, for the expo.
How much are they, just to get?
They're going to be 20 at the door, 25 at the door. I think they're 25 at the door on Friday or Saturday, and that's just get you into the expo hall. The conference itself is basically $150 a day, which is potential. It's almost sold out, the conference itself.
Now, the conference is there at the fairgrounds as well. So, so what's the difference? So if you want to get in and you can't sit for the conference or the speakers, but you want to explore the exhibition hall.
Yeah, so we've got an expo hall.
Okay. And
then there's also a stage that's right there connected to the expo hall called the P.2 education stage. And so that's $20–25 to get in each day.
Okay.
And then there's a conference that's connected to it, but to get into the conference is an additional ticket.
And
so we're doing a business conference on Friday that really focuses on all aspects of the industry, from policy, regulation, market opportunities, banking, insurance, labeling, legal. So the business side of it for stakeholders, entrepreneurs, company owners. And then on Saturday we've got a Farm and Ag Symposium that really focuses on the farming side of it, from planting, soil amendments, genetics,
that's interesting.
Harvesting, and all aspects that go along with the farming part of it.
And different states are you familiar kind of with some of the guidelines or the speakers with here in Tennessee? Because like I've looked into this. I've talked about how I want to try growing my own hemp crop. Just for myself to see how it goes, but I mean it's a process to get the proper seeds, to register with state, and I'm glad they're regulating it the way they are. But there's some steps you have to go through to do it and do it right.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And the regulation process and compliance process is going to continue to evolve. You know, we're just figuring this out, you know, these last couple of years, and you know, there's a lot of education that needs to happen all around the country. And we're fortunate in Colorado to be a bit ahead of the curve.
Yes, and so it starts tomorrow.
Correct.
Okay, gates open, do we know? It's like noon, something? 10 o'clock. Well, and encourage you, if you're interested in this, to give that a try. I'm going to be out there myself, and I'll be posting things on the station's website and all along those lines, because I have a lot of interest in this. I've been waiting for you guys to come. I really have. Let's take a phone call or two, and we've got a lot to talk about with our guest. If you have questions about hemp, medical marijuana, CBD oil. Let's start things off with Tom. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Nick. How you doing? Good,
Tom. What's on your mind?
Well, I've been watching you quite a bit speak on this hemp and stuff. I've tried some of the hemp. I've told you once before, I'm an advocate smoker. I've been smoking marijuana for 50 years. And I've used it for medical. I'm the one that was on the pain medication, which I like to get away from the pain medication. And but the thing of it is, I've tried the hemp, and we have a hemp market here where I live at, but it's so high, it's like $17 a gram just for the hemp.
Yeah, the price.
And I also want to get into the growing aspect of it, and to grow it, but then who do you sell it to?
Yeah,
that's one of my questions.
Okay, those are. I think he hits on what a lot of people are interested in, is finding affordable and what they know to be quality CBD oil. I'm hoping as more people get into it, competition and the prices come down. But right now, for a little eyedropper full of maybe 1,000 milligram CBD oil here, you're paying minimum $80 for that bottle. And that may last you for 3 months. But what about the costs in your take? And in Colorado, has it come down, whether you're buying raw product like he is sometimes, or the oils? In my opinion, it's still kind of spendy.
It is. It's definitely spendy. You're still looking at 10 to 20 cents a milligram, but you're finding companies that are now dropping that to 5 to 7 cents a milligram, and you'll see this price continue to come down
as more people get into it.
As more people get into it, as there's more biomass, as there's more material available for extract and for the flower. I mean, you know, he mentioned $17 a gram, and there's like a flower market going on here in Tennessee.
That's right.
Which it doesn't really happen in Colorado, because if people want to smoke flower, they just smoke
regular marijuana.
Yeah, marijuana. Right. So, but this flower market out here is real interesting, and how it's going. So
explain what that is, because you're right. It's starting. Some of these stores have opened up where you can go in and buy some of the raw bud from the hemp, which I guess you could smoke and vapor like you would any kind of marijuana. And again, it's not going to get you stoned, but it has CBD in it, right?
Correct.
And that's a more, smoking, I don't advocate smoking anything, but that is an immediate, you know, into your blood system, smoking it as opposed to ingesting it, correct?
Correct, and there's really no scientific evidence that smoking cannabis will cause lung cancer and causes near the problems that smoking tobacco does.
Okay.
That being said, I would agree
just
that
sucking any smoke into your lungs is probably not
exactly,
a great idea.
But at least when you're smoking this, there is cannabinoids, there's terpenes, there's these compounds that are medicinally or therapeutically beneficial to you. And a lot of people are using this flower, this CBD flower, to quit smoking cigarettes or smoking tobacco in general.
Right.
So I know that I've heard from several producers here in Tennessee that the people that are coming in and buying pre-rolled joints or buying it by the gram, that's why they're using it, is to really kind of get off tobacco.
Yeah, well, and you know, you heard from Tom here, and for years he's had, because of his pain conditions and what he deals with, to illegally buy marijuana here in Tennessee and smoke, and he's been doing it and he helps it. Now he's got this option for getting legal CBD product, I guess, which is great. I know people who have come off opioids because of CBD.
Sure, absolutely.
Now, anyone who thinks that CBD is more harmful than opioids is an idiot. It simply is factually wrong. I mean, I'm sorry, it's just true. Opioids are killing people, okay? And I know that opioids in extreme pain cases and people use them responsibly, that's fine. But if you can get off an opioid, and I'm not saying it's going to work for everyone, and CBD, I mean, that to me is arguably possibly one of the biggest potential breakthroughs of CBD oil for pain treatment. If it replaces opioids in some folks, that's a life-saving measure.
Oh, completely.
And that's what just blows me away, is that it could. And if it could, it frustrates me that there's any barrier to that being produced for folks. They should have access to it.
Well, it's not that it could. It is. I mean, we're seeing people's lives transformed all across the country, all across the world, and getting off a lot of these prescription opioids because of cannabis use, and whether that's the hemp side of things or the marijuana side of things. But it's definitely a gateway to better health.
Yeah. Explain, if you would, too, for folks, like in Colorado, as you said, when you buy CBD oil legally here in Tennessee, it's 0.3% THC, which is the psychoactive element, or below. And so that's so low, you can use it, you will not get high. Now in Colorado, there are CBD oils that have higher levels intentionally of THC where it's legal. Does the THC do something more to help with folks with their conditions when they're taking CBD oil? Is it an added element to it?
But it depends on the condition, and it depends on each person's physiology as to how they react with this plant.
Okay.
But the general consensus is when you have a variety of cannabinoids, it's not like just isolated CBD.
Right.
When you've got a full spectrum or a broad spectrum oil or flower, or however you're going to ingest it, let's say a vape oil, that you're going to get this entourage effect.
It might be better.
It's a synergistic thing where these compounds work within your endocannabinoid system, which we all have an endocannabinoid system, which basically creates homeostasis within our body.
Okay, okay. So, yeah, I've heard that there can be benefits. Now, here in Tennessee, you can get more of a broad spectrum. You can buy just pure CBD, but there's also a broader spectrum minus the THC, where there's other in there, and some people swear by that, saying that that seems to work better for them.
Correct. So a broad spectrum would be a variety of cannabinoids and terpenes, but with no THC, and then a full spectrum would be including THC. And there is full spectrum hemp extract, hemp oil, that's got 0.3% or less.
Right.
And then in Colorado and other legal states that have medicinal and recreational, you'll find full spectrum, high CBD, high THC ratios, 1-to-1 ratios, where you're getting more THC, and it does work better for a variety of conditions.
I'm just curious, with that in mind, I mean, I prefer the full spectrum hemp oil. All right, why would someone want to get just straight CBD and without the additional cannabinoids?
Because
just that alone.
They just don't want to have any THC, and they're scared of failing a drug test for work, or that's where you can potentially test positive if you're
I wanted to ask you about that. So, is there a way, if you do test positive, is there a way for them to get in to tell whether you're testing positive for it from hemp as opposed to marijuana?
No, not really.
That's one thing that scares people off, and we've had a few stories here where there have been a couple folks who have tested positive for THC when they were using CBD oil. And so for some folks, that's enough for them not to take it. That doesn't mean those folks were getting high. It just means there were traces in it that turned up in a drug test. And if your employer is a stickler on that, they're testing for a reason, that's going to be a problem for you.
Sure.
Like, I've used it, and I've had drug tests here, and, you know, I mean, standard stuff, and, you know, but that's in the back of my mind. What if you're in an auto wreck, you know, and you've been using CBD, which doesn't make you high, but then they draw blood, and they, oh, well, he tested for THC. That might be enough to scare people off from trying it.
Yeah.
Do you have any, how would you address that? Just what do you...
We need to address it with our drug laws, and we need to get rid of this notion that THC and cannabis is bad. I mean, it's not. THC is not the boogeyman. It's a compound that's a medicinal compound that's very effective with a lot of different conditions, and people don't die from it. We've had 80 years of propaganda that, you know, we're chipping away the advocates and the activists who've been doing this for years and years and years. We're making progress. That's why we've got cannabis legislation happening all across the country. We hear about it in Washington, D.C. every day, and stuff is happening in D.C., but unfortunately other stuff is happening in D.C. that detracts from what our mission is, and that's to end prohibition completely.
I'll tell you, you were right about that. It takes time to change long-held beliefs, whether they were accurate or not. And reefer madness, man. Remember the movie? There are still folks out there that are of that generation, and maybe even younger than that, that just have this attitude. They've been told all along, wrong, wrong, wrong. And the truth is, if you look at a hemp plant here and a marijuana plant here, I can't tell the difference looking at it, and you can't either, but there is a very big difference in the chemical makeup of the two plants, and that's the key you have to understand. Listen, we'll take a break. When we come back, more phone calls, more of our conversation. Again, the Southern Hemp Expo tomorrow and Saturday at the fairgrounds. It's going to be interesting. We'll be back with more right after this.